Hey, real quick, before we dive in, if you're an agency owner who is doing everything yourself, I want to let you know about this 7 day free trial opening up for the agency playbook. This is our full 8 system framework that over 20,000 agency owners have used to scale smarter. This is the exact system that I normally sell for over $1,600, but right now you can dive in and test it out. If you're ready to stop winging it and start building an agency that runs without you, head over to jasonswank.com/playbook. That's jasonswank.com/playbook. You're listening to the Smart Agency Masterclass with me, Jason Swank, and we're bringing you this episode courtesy of our friends at Wix Studio. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. We had a good time hanging out at Agency Con, but for the people that have not heard of you yet, tell us who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Pete Kleinjan. I have a small local SEO agency in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We deal with a lot of brick and mortar service-based companies, small staff. We got 3 others besides myself. We really focus in on businesses that want phone calls, they want leads, they want prospects so that their sales staff can go out and talk to their customers and close deals.
Awesome. And how'd you get started?
Well, it's kind of a long story. My college degree is elementary education. When I got out of college, my first job was doing credit card collections, which was awful. But it was really great training for my next job because I was on the phone for about 10 hours a day, having difficult conversations with people. My next job was as a salesperson for a company that sold wheelchair accessible vans. And as a salesperson, I learned pretty quickly, that the easiest way to get more sales was to get more leads. And so I went to the owner of that company. His name was Bob. I said, Bob, hey, what can I do to help? I knew we were doing Google AdWords, and that's where our leads were coming from. He said, well, I got AdWords locked down, but you can go talk to Adam, who had built our website from scratch on PHP. Go talk to Adam and see what he says. So I went and talked to Adam, and Adam sent me the link to the Wikipedia article about SEO. And so I think it was kind of like a BS test, like the web developer goes like, hey, sales guy, do you actually want to help or do you just looking for an easy path here? Well, I read the article, clicked on some blue links, went back and talked to Adam. Within a week, I had FTP access. He was coaching me on how to make changes in PHP and that kind of stuff. And that's how it got started. I started my agency about 6 years later in 2009. And that's when we started focusing in on the local businesses that need that lead generation. And I always tell prospects that story, actually, because the reason that most small business owners want SEO, the real reason, is the same reason that I started doing SEO. They want more leads, they want more sales. And I think a lot of times we confuse them with the rankings, the traffic, all the metrics that are important for our work. But they're not so important to that business owner that just wants more leads and more sales and is dreaming about buying a lake house or the new Cadillac, whatever, And so that's what we try to do.
Very cool. Well, Pete, I want you to share about that infamous state sales tax audit, in the early days of the agency. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. And, in hindsight, it's a good story and a great learning experience. At the time, it was within a year or two of starting my agency. You get that letter from the State Department of Revenue that says like, hey, and by the way, they didn't call it an audit. They were very explicit that this is a sales tax review. So if it was a review, but not an audit, I'd hate to go through an actual audit. But basically what happened is we were doing SEO and they came to us and said like, hey, in my state, marketing services are not taxable. Consulting services are taxable, but not marketing services. And so I thought to myself,
wait, consulting services are taxable?
Yeah. So maybe like the headline for this story is talk to your bookkeeper, talk to your CPA about the local nuances of the tax situations where you're doing business. So I get the letter and fortunately I had a bookkeeper and I said to the bookkeeper, hey, like, take care of this for me. And it was pretty painless from like a, what do you need from me standpoint? Because the bookkeeper dealt with most of it. But at the end of the day, they said basically and it was over 5 figures, more than 10 grand. You owe the state 10 grand. Well, at that point in my life, and even that's a lot of money.
Especially when you're not expecting that.
Right. Like anybody you talk to that does SEO that I tell this story to, they're like, what? And so kind of the outcome of it is I had to write a big check, which sucked, but it was a good learning experience. The state actually put 2 paragraphs into their state sales tax guidelines that you can go find on the internet, their PDF documents, basically saying that if you are working to improve visibility on search, that is a taxable thing. And if you are building links, that is a taxable thing in my state. And so, and the language that they used was terrible. Like, it doesn't make any sense to somebody who's doing search engine optimization. Some of the language is like, if you are placing links on an internet mall, blah, 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 blah. Well, what the heck is an internet mall? Is this like 1994 where we're still trying to figure out what things are called?
I think they were still using dial-up and Prodigy, if you remember that.
And who knows? Like, maybe there's some sort of legislation down buried deep somewhere in the thousands and thousands of pages of legislation that's what it's called legally, is it's an internet mall. I don't know, but that's what it was. And so basically what it was that kind of triggered all this. And we were charging sales tax on some things. We had a sales tax license, so they knew about us and all that stuff. It was listings, citations, where we were placing citations and paying for it and charging our customers for that. Well, the citation service wasn't charging us sales tax, but we were supposed to charge our customers sales tax who were in the same state as us. And so if they're out-of-state people, there's different circumstances. Like I say, like, every locality, and probably even down to the city level, has different sales tax requirements and arrangements. If you're using something like Stripe or something like that, like, it's probably automatically figured out. You'll find out someday when you have a sales tax review.
So if you get a call for a sales tax review, don't call them back.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is too, is like, the way I did it, I think a lot of businesses would go back to their customers and say like, hey, we didn't charge you sales tax for this. I got to charge you sales tax. I didn't do it that way. I just paid it.
I don't think that's fair, right? Like, if we messed up and we didn't charge it, especially after months or a year, that's not fair for the customer to get hit with that.
Right. I don't think so either. And so we didn't. And we were in a position where, like, it hurt. It wasn't a great thing to write that check, but we could do it. And the state gave us a little bit of a credit because we did it all at once and that kind of stuff. So it turned out okay. And really, like, it made us smarter and better, and that kind of stuff. One of those learning experiences, but it was definitely an eye opener. And even to this day, like, I wouldn't say that I understand sales tax, and that kind of stuff fully. But maybe, like, the moral of the story is you want those team members who do. Or if they don't understand it, they're capable of learning it and guiding you through that process. Maybe a lot like SEO is like, hey, what are you going to do for SEO in month 5? Well, we're not in month 5 yet. Like, we got a roadmap and we got a plan, but also we're going to discover some things and they might need to be addressed before the thing in the plan for month 5. And so the bookkeeper, the CPA, those types of people are the resource that, like, they're the experts. I'm going to do what they tell me to do. And then if something hits the fan, they'll help me through that process too.
What are the services that are not on sales tax that you do? I'm just so blown away by this. And I think everyone else listening to this, and look, the funny thing is like, we're talking about like taxes, and Pete's an agency owner. He has nothing, like, he's not even a CPA, which I've had CPAs on, and we've never talked about this. So,
well, it'd be a great question for a CPA from a different part of the country. Say like, hey, is this a thing? Did you know about this? And show them the actual guideline and say like, hey, and outside of SEO, that guideline makes absolutely no sense. And the thing that's frustrating for me as, like, a little guy, I know for a fact that there are massive companies that are doing these same services and not charging sales tax. And I've had it during prospecting calls and during client calls that, like, hey, why are you charging me sales tax for this? I had a meeting with so-and-so and they said that shouldn't be taxable. And then I get to tell them, like, well, it is, because I had to write the check for that service. And so,
well, I'd never heard of sales tax on consulting or marketing services, right? Like, sales tax is always on, an item. That's how I've always looked at it.
Yeah.
Outside of all the sales tax that I've charged for my clients over the past 7 years, is that as long as they can go back?
Well, I don't know. And that's really the bottom line answer is I don't know. And yeah. I've learned some things and I have a feel for some things, but I go to the people who do know when it's time to ask those questions. And I think too that, like, is different in every area. So really, you got to talk to somebody from that area to figure it out and try to navigate through it.
Yeah, I'm glad my town I live in is like 800 people. So, the tax code is not that big, but then in the county, obviously, it's a lot bigger. So,
And I think it's speculative, but the state that I live in, we don't have income tax, and so they make up for it. They still need the revenue. I think they make up for it in other ways, and so that's one of the ways.
Well, I was listening to something online. I think it was Elon Musk that said it. And I'm not going to say I agree with him or disagree with him because this is not a political podcast. But I just thought it was really interesting. He was like, look, the government's taxing us on stuff we buy, on stuff we own, and what we make. And I never thought about it that much, right? Like, you're like, holy cow, like how much money are they taking from me, right? Like, isn't it crazy when you think about it?
You don't want to think about it too long or too hard, or you send yourself off the deep end. But yeah, I mean, and it's reality. You're going to pay one way or another, and that's really kind of the conclusion that I've come to is like when you get that letter, okay, tell me what to do, and I'll do it, and then we'll move on. Because maybe another little wrinkle in this story is my brother is an attorney, and I asked him, free legal advice from your brother, like, hey, what's the deal here? Should I fight this or not? And he knew the amount that they were saying. He said, here's the deal. You can pay a lawyer to fight it, and the state will probably fight you all the way to the Supreme Court.
Really?
Well, to give you an idea, Jason, and I believe this is true. The reason that Amazon, online sellers, eBay, like those types of places, the reason that they charge sales tax now is because the attorney general in my state sued for that and took them all the way to the United States Supreme Court and basically said, hey, my state is missing out on sales tax revenue. These companies are operating outside the bounds of the law in my state. They need to pay sales tax. And that goes back to, again, we don't have income tax, so they're more aggressive on other areas of tax to make up for that revenue. So it's kind of complicated. I'm not an expert by any means. It's something that I experienced. Wasn't fun at the time, and there were sleepless nights and stuff, which is so silly. Like looking back on it, the things that would have broke me 10 years ago are just you shake it off now and you move on to the next thing. So it was an experience.
Look, your agency adapts for every client, right? Your builder should do the same. That's why Wix Studio is built for the way you actually create. AI-powered site mapping lets you get straight down to the design. Whether you shape things in Figma or start in Studio, your vision's coming to life quicker with no-code animations and built-in responsiveness. And for client growth that actually scale, you've got extendable business solutions and a dynamic CMS. Scale your agency at wixstudio.com.
I'm glad that you look back at it on that way. And I think when we're all going through money challenges, right? Especially owning an agency for as long as we have, you're going to go through ups and downs. Like it's never going to be done in rainbows all the time. And a lot of times how I was is when things are great, like in the back of my mind, I was like, what's around the fucking corner? I was like, what's gonna jump up and bite me? Like, what is it? And what I've realized in my older and wisdom days, now that I'm gray and decrepit, like I just had toe surgery. And so I'm hobbling around for the past 3 weeks and 4 weeks, can't do anything that I want to do anymore. And at the end of the day, you're like, I don't care about money. Like all I care about is, can I do the cool stuff I want to do? Right? Like that's all I care about. And like when you start thinking about things like that, it makes it so much easier to run a business, because then you're like, when this shit hits the fan on something, you're like, you could be mad 10 minutes or a half hour and then just go, fuck it, man. It's only money. I still got my health and I'll figure it out. We'll get through it. And then I'll learn from it. And like, kind of like you're laughing at this story. You had a lot of sleepless nights and you can look back and you're like, that's the dumbest thing. And you're right. Like, and you're just like, I can't do anything. Like
the funny thing about it, and it's probably a lot like what we do as agency owners too, where like, for me in that moment, like I was having sleepless nights. I was talking to my wife about it. I was talking to my brother, the lawyer, about it. Like it was on my mind all the time. Meanwhile, the person from the state, my bookkeeper, the CPA, totally casual, like, oh, another day at the office, like they deal with this stuff all the time, just like we deal with agency stuff. Oh, no big deal. Hey, your Google business profile needs re-verification. We've done that before. Like we can get through it. And meanwhile, they're sitting there going like, whoa, how am I going to make my car payment? How am I going to, do the next thing that I want to do? And that's maybe something for us to keep in mind too, is like the everyday normal stuff for us as marketing professionals might seem like rocket science to our clients. It might seem like junk to our clients. What's the important thing to them, and how do we satisfy their concerns and their needs in a way that is meaningful to them? And if you can do that, like my favorite bill to pay every month is my bookkeeper, because it takes like partly because of that, and then partly because like I spend like 2 hours a month on bookkeeping stuff, and they spend the other 20. Like they do the lion's share of the work
because of all the sales tax.
Yeah, they got to calculate the sales tax for the 80
like what
cities.
county are you from? Oh my god! Like when I look at like the professional athletes, like if you looked at kind of their taxes that probably their CPAs work, like is your tax in every state you play or any of that, like that would be a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
So be like, I'm not playing in that state anymore.
and really though, like maybe that's an analogy worth thinking about. Is like, hey, if you've got a bigger footprint than your locality, if you're working with people in different parts of the country or different countries, these are things that maybe you need to have conversations with people who know about these things to make sure that you understand what you're with. Because my bill was 10 grand. What if it was 100 grand? What if it was $1 million? Like all of a sudden, these are bigger issues, and you got to lay people off to pay an income tax bill. Like,
be changing the company name really quick.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
But a lot of times those taxes are tied to you personally too. So you're like, ugh. Yeah, I never even thought about it for international, right? Especially now with everyone. I guarantee you that's probably coming, because people probably think of us as like that Amazon, right? People are coming in. You're not paying, like, especially with the crazy stuff going on right now, with the tariffs and all that kind of stuff. So who knows? You just gotta surround yourself with the right people that know it, and not try to know everything. That's what I've learned over the years. Like I can't know everything. I don't want to know everything, but I'm going to put the right people in the right seat that know the things that they're supposed to protect us. And then if we make a mistake, we make a mistake. Right? That's it.
I've had questions. I know a lot of people in marketing. They use VAs and that kind of stuff. And with the tariff situation, is that a concern now? Will it be a concern in a month? Like what's that landscape going to look like? And we don't really use VAs at all in my agency. But if we did, and all of a sudden, they put 100% tariff on service work from overseas, that's kind of a game changer for it. 100% means you double your payroll, basically. And that throws a lot of math off when that happens.
Yeah. I just think too, you can't worry about things you can't control. And I was watching this interview. I don't think Jeff Bezos has done many interviews, but he basically said, look, you're not asking the right question, because the interviewer was like, what's going to change in the next 5 years? He's like, that's not the question I wish you asked me. I wish you asked me what's not going to change. And that's a question. As soon as I heard that, I met with our mastermind. I told them the same thing, because a lot of times on the mastermind, we're always talking about, what are the things going to change and that kind of stuff. I said, no, guys, let's talk about what are the things that are going to not change in your business. AI is going to make changes, all that kind of stuff. But what are the things that are not going to change? And worry about that. Your clients are always going to want results. Your clients are always going to want to talk to people. Your clients are always going to want to tell you a problem and you have the solution, right? Like they're going to want things on time. They're going to want things faster, right? Like think of all the things that aren't going to change and you focus on that, right? Like, hey, what you can't control.
The tools in your box are going to change, but you're still working on cars.
or space cars. I don't, who knows?
Yeah, these cars. Yeah.
There was one. Now, who knows? Because like, there's so much made up shit with AI, right? But they were like, here's the first $1 million flying car, right?
Yeah.
And it has like the wings fold out, and I'm like, and I'm a private pilot, so that kind of scares me. Like, you don't need a license, a pilot's license to fly this. So I'm like, man, you're going to fly into airspace you're not supposed to. You're not going to have the right technology that we look for, so we don't run into each other. So I was like, oh my God, like, this is crazy. So who knows if it was AI, but
And it's maybe a little conspiratorial or whatever. I've thought a little bit about the AI stuff that we're doing. And like, we had like the Industrial Revolution and, we were coming out of the information age. What's next? And people, well, it's the AI age or the intelligence age or what. I kind of am thinking of it as like the artificial age, where the only stuff that is real is the stuff that you see with your own eyeballs, the stuff that you touch with your own hands, and anything you see on a screen, you got to think in the back of your mind, like this might be completely fake.
well, there's technology I'm using right now that I can put the script, and I can upload 2 or 3 minutes of me, my voice, my mannerisms. You would have a hard time figuring out which is which. And I was like, I was really excited, and then I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I was real excited because, my team's always worried that, when I'm doing the dangerous stuff, I die, then the company dies. And I'm like, no. Like, you could continue. Like, this is how you continue.
Yeah.
My lips may just look a little different. Right? You could tell a little bit. But
well, and the crazy thing is, like, hey, Jason's doing that with one guy, with himself. Like, what's stopping you from doing it with 10 avatars, with 100 avatars, with 1,000 avatars, with 100,000 avatars? Like, the only thing that's stopping you is resources.
well, the thing I haven't talked about yet, and I think this is a good time. I appreciate you bringing that up. So I always tell people that you need to be the face of the organization, and you need to build up your team, right? Like, to be known, kind of like The Office. If you think about, like, everyone knows those characters, but especially with all these, and there are things on social media right now that you don't know that is AI, like the images, and you're liking it. You're probably engaging with them. I'm not on this site, but I've read an article on this, the OnlyFans or whatever, where they have OnlyFans that are probably all AI, and you don't even know it, right?
I know people who have them.
Yeah, so the AI influencers are here, and they're only going to get bigger and bigger. So why are you not starting to create that for your agency now, right? Because think about this. There was a podcast I used to listen to called Conversion Cast. It was Lead Pages, and it was Tim Page that was the host. And I was on the show a bunch and just loved that podcast, right? It was like really snippets, like, of really cool things you could take away. Now, I always associated Tim to Lead Pages because I thought he was the owner, but it wasn't. Clay was the owner. And then when Tim left, that podcast kind of went down. So what if you start creating these, like an AI, influencer for your agency, especially for the shy agency owners that don't like to see that. And look, no one likes to hear, I have these fancy headphones I got, right? I'm showing it on the video. I got to use them for the podcast, but I hear my voice and it just messes me up. I'm like, no, like, everyone hates their voice. Everyone hates what they look like on video. So to create an AI influencer that you can control, like, why not?
Well, and here's where mine goes with that, Jason. So I've been in SEO since 2003-ish. I've seen a lot of Google algorithms.
Old man. You're old man.
Yeah, exactly. But there's been a lot of Google algorithm updates in that time period. There have been a lot of things that were once okay and you didn't get penalized for or any kind of repercussions for, that a year down the road were black hat and you could get penalized for. Is that coming with this AI stuff, either through government regulation of some kind, or the platforms themselves start to realize that, like, hey, people don't want to get on Facebook to watch cartoons all day, which is what they are. AI it's not real. It just looks real. People don't want to get on to watch cartoons all day. We're going to penalize those AI content generators because it's actually detrimental to the future of our platform.
So here's my thought. So when I was a little kid, I would get on Saturdays and Sunday mornings and watch cartoons all day. So I want to watch cartoon. And so when I think about when I get on social media, when I'm scrolling through stuff, I personally don't care if it's AI or not. I just want to be entertained.
That's probably true. And I think, too, the interesting thing is there may be generational components to this conversation, too. The boomers and
Are you calling me a boomer?
no, younger than that, people like us are and we have two Gen Z employees. 2 out of our 4 people here are Gen Z. They are fantastic. But I tell you what, their views on social media are a little bit different than mine. And,
totally different.
We're doing things on social media, trying some things for my agency, and it's outside my comfort zone.
I do like your videos that you post. There was one funny video, I liked it. It was really cool, especially with your melody. Now that I met you, I was like, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah, and that's one thing. And we call it our social media 10 commandments. Because we're using the AI tools and stuff like that. And commandment number 1 for us is it has to be real. We're not going to go and say hey, so-and-so, one of our people is going to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City this weekend. Take some videos and we'll make it seem like Pete went to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City this weekend. It has to be real. It has to be authentic, and we can use AI tools and we can do the overlays and that kind of stuff. And that's partly our video quality maybe is not as good as the stuff that you put out. But I feel like that's maybe a good thing. It's showing that we're authentic. I'm a small business owner trying to figure out social media.
I just loved it because it was real. It was quirky. It was educational. I was like, you hit it on all the parts, right? I watched the whole thing. So I thought it was great. I hope you do more of those. You
were the guy then, huh? That's good.
I was the one guy. Yeah. It's kind of like when Will Ferrell was getting the what is that Mark Twain Award on PBS or something. He was like, I want to thank the hundreds watching. So that's cool. Well, awesome. Well, Pete, this is a lot of fun. Is there anything I didn't add that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
I think not specifically. I think one of my passions is helping small businesses, and if you're able to help somebody do it, because you never know where it's going to go. We had a person recently we call it an SEO Power Hour. They get on and we help them make some changes on their website live on the call. It's a paid call, and this person basically had the checkbox checked in the back end of their WordPress that said, "Don't index my website." And
oh my gosh.
And she had been struggling with this for more than 2 years, trying to figure out why her website didn't show up on Google. And she had asked, and the way that she found me was in a Facebook group, and somebody recommended me. But the other people who replied in the Facebook group were all, hey, let's get on a call. I'll do a free strategy session. And for that small business owner, all they hear is sales call, sales call, sales call, sales call. All she needed was somebody to spend 5 minutes of their day to say, uncheck this box. And we did a lot more than that for her. But the knowledge and abilities that we as agency owners and that our staff and teams have, we can really help people. And yeah, we got to make money. We have to feed our families and take care of our people too. But my gosh, help people.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, and I'll follow up with that, or I'll end with that, is help people and do what you say you're going to do.
And if you can't do what you say you're going to do, then say that.
Just be I would want to hear, wait, hey, I haven't done this before. I'm going to test this out. Is it okay if I test this on you? It could work, it could not work. If someone told me that, I'm like, okay, yeah, versus the people on LinkedIn. I had this morning. I had this lady that owns an agency hit me up on Instagram, hey, you're not getting much engagement on Instagram. And I get okay. It could probably be better. And she's like, don't you want to fix that? I'm like, so I looked at her profile and she barely has any engagement. And I go, I don't, and I went to her, I said, does this actually work? Do you get clients this way? And she goes, oh, yes. And I go, okay, well, good luck with that. And she goes, do you want my help? I go, no, I looked at your profile and you don't have an engagement. She goes, well, oh, that's not the right profile. This is the profile I every people on. And I was like, no, thank you. She kept hitting me up. I finally had to block her. I was like, that's not helpful.
And I think too that like what I always think about like is so in SEO, sorry to drag this on a little bit longer, but like a lot of businesses will approach an agency and say, hey, I need SEO. And the very first thing in the proposal is a brand new website. And it's like, well, are you doing SEO or are you selling websites? And so sell the thing that you provide that the person needs. And when you can hit that mark, like monthly recurring revenue clients, like people appreciate it and they'll stick with you. That you become that CPA or that bookkeeper where they like paying your bill every month instead of wondering like, boy, I could sure do a lot more with that $1,500. What else could I do with that $1,500 a month? If you're providing that value and you become kind of that inner circle person, it's dynamite and it lasts.
I always had in our company, I always told our sales team, sell what they need, not what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll trust you a lot more. We'll just end on that. Pete, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was a lot of fun. And thanks for sharing the tax thing. Like, I'm sure everyone's like hitting up their CPAs right now. And like, holy cow, like, do I have to pay sales tax? And then, oh, I hope not. God, that's crazy. But thanks for coming on the show. And if you all, like the show, make sure you share it out with a friend. And if you guys want to be in the know-how and have people around you that can help you out and just guide you in the right direction so you're not doing it all alone, make sure you go to agencymastery.io. Check us out. And until next time, have a swank day.